Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at Castles of the Man King Ludwig. This is a Bezier game that is a 1 to 4 player game. It takes roughly 90 minutes to 2 hours to play, and it's fully competitive, so each player is working independently and trying to gain the most points at the end of the game to be the overall winner. So the game itself works that each round there will be one player that is going to be the master builder. He's going to draw a number of cards to add tiles to a auction block section that players will go and try to purchase different tiles to add to their castle. The money that they spend on those will go to him, so there is some strategy in that so that he has to try to decide where he wants to place certain buildings or certain rooms so that he gets the most money out of those players. From there, each player is going to have a certain number of bonus cards that will give him bonus points at the end of the game based on how he builds his castle. So each player will work on those in secret, and then at the end of the game, the points will be totaled, and the player that has the best and most impressive castle will win the game. So for my impressions of this, I really enjoyed the game. It kind of caught me by surprise because normally these aren't the kind of games that I particularly like or hit my particular spots. But I did like the game. I think that there was a lot of strategy in it, but there wasn't a lot of rules. It wasn't super complex. Even halfway through the first time playing it, I had a pretty good feel for the game, and overall I ended up doing pretty well. So I'm sure that kind of helped. But I did enjoy the game, and I love medieval stuff, so building a castle is always a cool thing. And there's a lot of variety in the game. There's also an expansion that is out. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but that even adds a little bit more to the game itself. As far as drawbacks, basically the only thing I saw is if it's your type of game or not. I mean, if you're not into the Euro style games where you're really focusing on the strategy of things, there are no dice, and it's the only real risk or variant is the bonus cards that players get dealt. If you get dealt ones that just really don't work with your play style, then obviously you're probably not going to do too well. But other than that, there really wasn't a lot of drawbacks that I could see to this game. So other than that, let's head to the table and I'll teach you how to play. Here we have all the different bonus cards that are included in the game, and these are the orange backed cards. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to be dealt 3 of these cards. They're going to choose 2 to keep and 1 to discard back to the deck. Throughout the game, players are going to work on building their castles, and some of the rooms or different things that they have for their bonus cards will grant them additional points at the end of the game. So if we look at a breakdown of the cards, for this one, for example, for each room that you have that is a food room, you will get 3 bonus points at the end of the game. And that applies to each one of these cards. The way that they work, they will describe what you need to achieve in order to get their points at the end of the game. Here we have the King's Favors. One of these is going to be randomly dealt out to the contract board at the beginning of the game for each player that is playing the game. From there, at the end of the game, players will score points for these based on the tiles that are out. So these top ones here are for the players that have the highest number of rooms of the particular type that is in those. The next one here is for the player or players that have the most square footage in those rooms. At the bottom section here, it's the player that has the most small rooms, player that has the most large rooms, players that have the most circular rooms and square rooms, players that have the most gold, and then the 3 on the side. This first one up top here is for incomplete rooms, which are rooms that have exits that don't connect to anything. The second one is for completed rooms, which are the rooms that have all of their entrances leading to other rooms. And the last one is external entrances, which are rooms that you have that lead out and are not into enclosed spaces. Player setup is real easy. Each player is going to receive a quick reference guide that's going to list their room completion rewards and the different types of rooms that there are in the game. On top of that, on the back side, it's going to list the player's actions and the way that they can score, including final scoring. From here, each player will choose a color and receive a foyer of that color and a score token of that color. Then each player will be dealt 3 bonus cards, and we'll get 15,000 marks. And you can give these in any values that you want up to 15,000. From here, each player is going to look at their bonus cards. So I'll go ahead and flip these over so you can look at them, but normally you would keep these hidden from the other players. And then you would choose 2 of those cards to keep and 1 to discard. So out of these 3, let's go ahead and hold on to these 2 as this one over here does give a lot of points, but it might be a little more tricky to get 10 rooms of different sizes. So this one would be returned to the deck, and these 2 would be our bonus cards for this game. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at board setup. So the first thing you're going to do is place the contract board out on the side based on the number of players. So if you're playing a 4-player game, then we'll use this side. If we're playing a 2 or 3-player game, then we'll use this side. So we're going to go ahead and play a 2-player game. So we're going to use this side, and with a 2-player game, as you can see in this little icon here as well, this 2,000 mark section will not be used for that game, only these 5. From here, then we can go ahead and place out the rest of the board. So we have the spot for the stairways, the different rooms, and finally the scoring track. From here, then we can go ahead and place out the room tiles on each one of their spots, and before we do, go ahead and mix them up. From here, we can also place out the stairwells and the hallways, and there are 2 sections for the hallways, both the upstairs hallway and the downstairs hallway. These are double-sided, so you can split them into stacks just so they don't fall over, but other than that, there's no difference. Once we're done with that, again, based on the number of players, we're going to go ahead and remove certain tiles from the board. So with a 2-player game, we're going to remove 2 tiles from each of our piles here and 4 tiles from each of our piles there, as well as the stairs and the hallways. And as you can see on this chart, based on the number of players, will be the number of places you'll remove from each one. So first, from the 350 to 600, we'll take out the top 2. Once we're done with that, we can also go ahead and put out the money. And I got these little cases from Walmart just to keep everything organized. We can also put out the bonus cards. And then again, based on the number of players, you're going to go ahead and take the room cards. And as you see in this chart, you'll deal out a certain number of cards. So with the 2-player game, we're going to deal out 22. The rest are returned to the box, and these are going to go ahead and be placed in that section there. From here, then we can go ahead and grab the King's Favor tokens, shuffle them up, and deal out 1 for each player that's playing the game into these sections. So we're going to get bonus points for whoever has the most money and whoever has the most living room sections. From here, then the players can go ahead and place out their player boards. And keep in mind, for this video, everything's going to be kind of tight and punched in there together, but in a regular game, you want to give players lots of room to build their castles. Once the player boards are out there, we can go ahead and flip over the top number of cards based on the number of players again. So as you see in this chart here, with a 2-player game, we're going to flip over the top 5 cards and place those rooms out in the different spots. And it doesn't matter which spots we put them in right now. So our first card is a 250. The next card is a 200. We have a 150, a 600, and finally a 450. These can go ahead and be added to the discard pile. The last thing we need to do is give one player the Master Builder token. And you can do this in any way you want. So we're just going to go ahead and give it to the blue player. From here, then the players are going to go ahead and put out their scoring tokens. The blue player is going to place his scoring token in the 0 slot, and then going clockwise in order, each player is going to place their token in the next slot. So the farther along you are in the turn, the more points you'll start with. So the red player will start with 1 point right off the bat. From here, we're ready to start the game. Now we're ready to move into the game rounds. So at the start of each game round, the player that has the Master Builder token will go ahead and draw additional cards for each of these spaces that is open and does not have a tile in it. As this is the first turn, these tiles are all full, so we're good there. We don't have to reveal any new tile or new cards. After that, then the Master Builder can rearrange the rooms into any section that he wants. So he can change their values. So, for example, let's go ahead and move some stuff around. So he's going to go ahead and move this one here. And he'll shift that one there. And we're going to say that he's satisfied with that. Now, when he's doing this, he's trying to plan out where he wants to place these rooms and the values that these rooms are going to be worth, because he's trying to make it advantageous for other players to purchase the rooms, because if players purchase the rooms, then he will get the gold value for those rooms. So he wants them to be as expensive as he can make it, but where people are still going to want to buy the rooms. So at this point, then, after he's done rearranging, then the player to his left, which in this two-player game is going to be our red player, will choose one of the rooms if he wants to purchase it. If he doesn't want to purchase any rooms, then he will simply collect 5,000 marks from the bank. If he does want to purchase, then he will pay the Master Builder the value for it. So our player is going to go ahead and grab this room down here. So he'll pay the Master Builder 4,000 marks, and he will collect that room. At that point, then it'll go to the next player, and finally it'll end with the Master Builder. When the Master Builder goes, he can choose any room in the set as usual and purchase it for the value. When he purchases it, any gold that he uses to buy it will go to the bank, and he can also choose not to purchase any rooms, in which case then he would also receive 5,000 marks. Now, in subsequent turns, at the end of the turn, so if this was, say, the end of the turn and our players had done all their stuff, and the Master Builder had chose to pass, and he got his 5,000 marks, each one of the rooms that is left out will receive 1,000 marks on it. And in subsequent rounds, these marks that are on the room can be used to purchase it with its value. So in another round, if this room was still there, a player could pay 7,000 marks plus the 1,000 and be able to purchase that room. The other option players do have is to purchase stairways and hallways for the price listed, and again, they would pay the Master Builder for that turn. From here, then the players are going to go ahead and place the rooms in their castles, and then they would score the points on them, which we're going to cover during that phase. After that, then the last thing in the round is that the Master Builder will pass his Master Builder token to the player to the left. So this would move over to the red player. And then the round would be over. Let's take a look at some of the different rooms and some of the icons that you're going to find on each of those room tiles. So at the top of each room tile in the top corner is going to be a picture of a castle with a number in it. That is the number of points you will get for placing that room into your castle. In the other corner, it's going to list the square footage of that particular room, and again, it's the same as what that room is on the back. From here, each room is also going to have a symbol in the bottom corner that room is. So this one is a downstairs room, that is an activity room, and that is a living room. From here, at the bottom of each of the rooms is going to be the name of that particular room. And then finally, in the center are 3 different scoring systems for the different types of rooms. So the first one is specific to the activity rooms, which are your red bricked rooms. And with those, each one of those rooms, it's going to have a negative castle symbol next to a various other collection of symbols. And what this means is for each of these symbols that happens to be placed in one of the rooms that's connecting to this room, you will receive 2 points off of your total score. So for example, if we ended up placing this room here after we place this room, this is a utility room, which is listed there, and so we would receive a negative 2 points when we scored it, and with that room only being worth 2 points, it would cancel each other out when we were scoring. From there, we move over here, and with this scoring system, this one says that we will receive 3 points for each one of these 2 icons that is connected to one of these entrances to this room. So if we happen to connect an activity room to this, we would receive 2 points for the activity room. But then if we came back over to the activity room, we would receive a negative 2 points, so we would cancel it out there. But if we put a outdoor room connected to it, then we would receive 2 points for that on top of the 2 points that the room was worth, or 3 points for the outdoor room. Finally, the last type of room is your underground or your downstairs rooms. With these rooms, you are going to get 2 points for each of the room that's listed here in your upper castle, your upstairs rooms. So for each sleeping room that is currently in your castle when you place this room, you will receive 2 points for it. Now, the other thing that we'll talk about real quick is completing rooms. So anytime a room is completely connected and all of its entrances lead to other rooms, you will have a completion bonus for that room. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. We're just going to fill this stuff in with other rooms. So in this situation, when this happens, you would consult your room completion rewards chart, as you can see here in the top corner. And for the living room, it says you can rescore the completed room's points. So again, I would receive 2 points for the room, plus any points that were connected to that room for the middle of the room. And this applies for each room that you complete. You would get a completion bonus. So for example, we also completed this one for the utility room. And so when you complete, say this was the last room we placed to complete this room and that room, you can choose in which order you would resolve those. Now I'm going to show you guys how scoring rooms works. So we have our foyer here, and our first room we're going to connect will be an activity room. So we will receive 7 points for the activity room, and then we would check the activity room's point system and see if there was any deductions, which the foyer is considered a hallway type room, so we're going to lose 2 points there. And then we're going to go ahead and connect our next rooms, say during our next turn. And so we're going to go ahead and do this. So we would gain 2 points for our utility room, but then we're going to lose them again for this red room. So we don't gain any points there. And then let's go ahead and connect another utility room, or another activity room. So at this point, then we would receive 4 points there. And we do not have any of these rooms connected because this entrance does not lead to this room, so we won't get the penalty there. And so then we would score our points for our completed room, so we would receive 5 more points. And we did complete this room in the previous turn, so we would gain the thing for that, but what that is you get 2 bonus cards and you would choose 1, so there's no points involved. From here, then we can continue building. So let's go ahead and say that we're going to build a downstairs. So we connect the stairs, and then we're going to go ahead and place a downstairs room. So at this point, we would gain 2 points for the downstairs room, and we don't have any sleeping rooms in our castle yet, so we won't get points for that. After that, then let's go ahead and connect an outdoor room. So we'll do this. And so we would receive 1 point for that room. And now the one thing with the outdoors rooms is now we cannot place any rooms that would butt up against that fence. So no matter how we place them, we could not do that, which there aren't any openings on the outside here anyway, so most likely you're not going to run into those problems unless you really loop around in it. So let's go ahead and place one more. So from here, let's go ahead and do that. And so we would gain 3 points for that room. And we don't have any other sleeping rooms connected to this one at the moment, so we will not gain any additional points there. But we did complete our outdoor room, so we would get to take 10,000 marks from the bank. And that's a little example of how scoring rooms works. The game will end in the round immediately following the round where the last card has been drawn for the room placement. So we're going to go ahead and say that we are starting a new round, and we flip over a card for each room. So the first one is 250, and at this point we're out of room cards. and we still have room to fill. So when that happens during the last round, we'll go ahead and mix these cards back up and draw a new card and place it so that the last round will have a full set of rooms again. The cards that aren't used will go back to the discard pile, and our room tile is empty, so at the end of this round will be when the game is over. So at that point, after the players have finished their rounds, then we're going to go ahead and check for the king's favors. So each player that qualifies for those favors will receive points. So in our two-player game, our players are going to total up the amount of gold they have from all of their marks, and they will get points for it. So the blue player has the most gold, so he will receive 8 points. And the second player will receive 4 points for being second place. From here, then each player will receive 2 points for each room they have from each of the depleted stacks of rooms, including the hallway stacks and stairs, and even rooms that are depleted that have rooms that are in the contract slots. So at this point, the players would receive 2 points for each of the 150-point rooms in their castle, each one of the 300-point rooms, even though these rooms are still in the contract slot, each of the 450 and each of the 600, because those are the 4 stacks that have been completely depleted. From here, then each player is going to flip over their bonus card, starting with the player that has the Master Builder token, and resolve each one of those. Once they're done with that, each player will receive 1 point for every 10,000 marks that they have. And at this point, after all those are totaled up, then the player that has the most points will win. If there happens to be a tie, then it'll be the player that has the most square footage in their castle, which each tile will have the square footage mark, as well as the back of the tile will list the square feet. So I hope that gave you guys a good idea of how the game runs. If you guys have any questions or comments, always leave them in the comment section below. If this video was helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Every person that does helps me out. If you guys share and all that kind of stuff, it really makes a big difference for me. I get to see the numbers obviously improve, and the more subscribers I get, the more companies will back me and provide me with games that I can run and teach you guys. So in a way, it's a win-win for both of us. So as always, until next time, enjoy gaming, and you guys have a good day.